on Facebook, what's going on YouTube? I appreciate you guys so much. Thanks for being here. And I have two stories today. Sorry, I don't want to scare you, but first story is going to be about Duarte. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. Perhaps I did it wrong, but the president of Philippines is apparently threatening to arrest unvaccinated people if they leave their house and go outdoors. Imagine not knowing what's going on when this type of stuff's happening in the world. We got to talk about that story. And the second story I want to talk about, that's why I got my tennis racket here, is because Novak Djokovic, he's the, I believe, #1 tennis player in the world right now, has been detained in Australia. I guess they said he couldn't join the tournament because he was unvaccinated and refused to do so. Then he thought he had an exemption and claimed that they gave him an exemption. And now it looks like, they're treating him like a prisoner of some sorts, and he's getting, kicked out or sent back. So that's the story. Hopefully we get more people. I don't know what's going on Facebook. I might have got crazy throttled. We got like 12 people. So hopefully it picks up. If not, I don't know. I got to check my Facebook account. What's going on, folks? Can other people see this? Or I usually get like two. Oh, it won't play. I might have to let me see what's going on. Let's see what people are saying. If it doesn't work, I might just relaunch it. It says me neither, me neither. I don't know. It's not working. Dang. Well, sorry about that, YouTube. I guess I'm gonna have to just like restart it or something. It says something went wrong. All right, I'm gonna relaunch it. Sorry about this, YouTube. This is very unprofessional. I was like, I had 17 people. I was like, that can't be right. I mean, I know some people get mad at my streams, but it can't be that bad. All right, let me try to relaunch it again. Did I get censored already on Facebook again, or what's going on? Let's try it one more time. Live video. Let's see. I'm going to take it off. Bang, bang. If it doesn't, we're just going to have to make a move on YouTube. Dang. All right, let's launch it up again. Try one more time, and then if not, it's just a YouTube-only stream, and I'm going to complain and cry about censorship. All right. Let's see. Hopefully this works. Thanks for being patient, YouTube. I apologize for the delay. Hopefully this works on Facebook. The last one, it didn't. We'll see. If not, I have my work cut out for me. We'll read some on YouTube while people are coming in. There we go. It looks like it's picking up a little bit. Let's see. 2073. That's a little better. All right. 162. All right. Sorry about that. 278. Let's go. Here we go. I thought it took 402. Let's go. We got it cracking. 502. All right. Sorry about that, Facebook. Thank you, YouTube. Real quick, I just got to go over what it is, and then I don't want to bore YouTube because we had some problems, technical difficulties. The story of the day is Duarte from the Philippines. He's the president. I probably pronounced that wrong, but he wants to arrest unvaccinated people if they go outdoors. And then the #1 tennis player in the world is being detained and treated like a prisoner, according to his mother and himself, in Australia. Sweet. We got now 1,300 people. They can't stop us. I'm too nice. Did you know I'm the #2 tennis player in the world? No, I'm just kidding. Fact check. Anomaly's not as good as them at, tennis. We got to be accurate here, or else we get fact checked. So I am pretty good at tennis, though. I got a good forearm bat. I'm very lanky. I can just reach shots a lot. So anybody that wants to play me in tennis, challenge me. Maybe, put a little money on it or something. Let me know. All right. Thanks for being here, Facebook. Thank you for your patience. On YouTube, someone said lanky. I mean, I have long arms. I have a long wingspan. So people get mad. They're like, oh, you're cheating. It's like, listen, I got the long arms. I just reach and I hit. All right. So first story real quick. It's crazy. It sounds similar to what Australia was doing, but the president of the Philippines is arresting people or calling for the arrest of unvaccinated people if they go outdoors. Just to read this story from the Bangkok Post, is somebody who covered it. A few others did, but obviously, a lot of international news, unless it's like mainstream stuff, it's not always covered by everybody. But it says Filipino President Rodrigo Duterte on Thursday ordered the arrest of unvaccinated people who violate stay-at-home orders aimed at curbing galloping coronavirus infections driven by the Omicron virus variant. If you read down, it says, because it's a national emergency, it's my position that we can restrain I am now giving orders to the village chiefs to look for the persons who are not vaccinated and just request them or order them if you may to stay put. If they refuse and go out of their house and goes around the community or maybe everywhere, he can be restrained. If he refuses, then the official is empowered to arrest the recalcitrant persons, he added. So he's calling for the arrest of unvaccinated people. A lot of countries in the world now are starting to do an unvaccinated only lockdown, which is interesting. And, it's just interesting. I guess I could tell you the obvious, but how could you not know what's going on in the world right now? We're now almost 2 years into 15 days to slow the spread. You have world leaders, certain governors, certain presidents, certain politicians, certain corporations who have accumulated this, in some cases, in all cases, authoritarian power. In some cases, like Duarte, I think it would be accurate to call him a fascist. It's like some people are communists, some people are fascists with their authoritarian power, but more than any other president around the world, I think Duarte leans more like a fascist with his authoritarian than he does communism. But whatever, I don't care what you call it. There's certain people that have accumulated this power through the emergency that never want to give it back. It's so obvious. It's so bad for humanity. It's so bad for human rights. It's clearly not, putting a dent in the amount of people who are catching this thing and spreading this thing or whatever. So at what point, like, do people not realize it yet? I know people like to, watch the Wheel of Fortune, like myself and other stuff. And, people like to watch football. I get it. I love sports. But, like, do people not get it, really? Like, you're being told to do this, told to do that. And it's just dragging on forever and ever and ever. I would guess most people agree with us now. And most people know that it's too much. But most people are just like, yeah, whatever. Maybe it'll go away. Or like, I'll just, It's like, come on, folks. Wake up. Before I get to my tennis, I did this real quick. If y'all don't mind, give me like 3 seconds. I want to pause because Facebook, I don't get to choose my thumbnail all the time. So I just want to like catch a pose and hopefully like Facebook will take a screenshot and make this the thumbnail. Hold on. Okay, I just wanted to try to catch a thumbnail real quick because it always has me like close my I always have like my eyes closed or something, and I'm like, why of all the pictures, why did Facebook pick that one? My eyes are closed, I'm like spitting out of my mouth. It's like, really, I feel like they're trying to frame me at the algorithm AI department, but whatever. I just want to show you something real quick before we move on to the Djokovic story. This is Israel. This is the data out of Israel. They're very vaccinated. I believe they have millions of boosters, millions of double shots, millions of single shots. It's a Pfizer case study in many ways because it seems like everybody in Israel is getting the Pfizer BioNTech shot. But I just want to show you something. I don't care if you like me, you don't like me, whatever. You're left wing, right wing, you're afraid, you're not afraid. I just want to show you something that I believe is called a seasonal trend, that although all seasons are not the same, everything's not exactly the same all the time. COVID's not the flu unless you have Flurona. Oh, you seen those headlines? Flurona, the first case of Flurona found, the flu combined with Corona. It's like, I'm not saying it's not real, but like, okay, I don't know. It's like 3 years into it, we're doing Flurona now. Got to keep my eye out for that. But anyway, I just want to show you real quick. I know this is going to be backwards on Facebook, but I'm just going to keep it real with y'all. This is now in Israel, okay? The cases are going back up in January. This is around September of this year. Cases are going up. This is last January in Israel, and this is last September. So September, spike, January, spike, September, spike, January, spike. I'm not saying they're the exact same, but let's go to America. This is the United States of America. This is last winter. It's called winter. They used to call it the flu season in the winter and say, man, seasonal illness is a thing. And once coronavirus hit, they said, it's coronavirus. Now we don't know about winter. Seasonal illness doesn't exist. I'm not saying they're the same, but it's like now our 100 years of knowing about seasonal trends doesn't exist. So this is last winter. That was the biggest spike until this winter. You have the biggest spike under the Biden administration that claimed it had some sort of crazy plan that it never had. But okay. Why am I telling you this? Am I trying to say the flu is COVID? Or I'm not qualified to tell you that. But what I am here to tell you is they're trying to gaslight people into not even considering seasonal trends. Like, you had Biden get on television and basically say along the lines, who could have predicted this spike? And it's like, me? Literally? Like 7 months ago? I didn't know it would be this much, but I predicted the spike. Do you know why? Because it's winter And I've been following the data, and I noticed that in certain countries, it seems to have some sort of, although it's not exactly the same seasonal trend, like in Israel, like in America. And Fauci, as much as Biden's like, who could have predicted this? It's like your medical advisor slash the NIH guy, or wherever Fauci works at, the NIAID, working for the NIH. He said months ago that he was predicting a variant around this time. So it's like Fauci seemed to know there was a variant coming or predict it. I seem to know why. I'm not saying why Fauci knew it or how Fauci knew, but seasons, winter. The same people that preach climate change all of a sudden can't fathom the fact that every winter around this time, we might have a spike in cases. And apparently, we might have new variants. They said, I'm listening to the NIH director, Francis Collins, on Lex Friedman's podcast, and he's just like, oh, we did everything right. This variant caught us by surprise. It's like, maybe you're not as good as you think you are at science if you just couldn't fathom a variant. Oh, we had everything figured out. We had everything figured out. The only problem was the variant came up and it threw all our data off. It threw off our vaccine. It didn't work as long as we thought it would because now you got to get a booster because of the variant. It's like, maybe you're not that good. That would be like me playing soccer. And they're like, Anomaly, how come you didn't score the goal? You're like, well, in my head, I was going to score 50 goals, but then there were defenders there, and I didn't think there would be defenders there. I'm not wrong. I just didn't plan on the defender being there. It's part of the game, dummies. If you're talking about this stuff and you're not even thinking about mutations or variants, maybe you're not that good at what you do. If there's mutations and variants coming along, maybe you're bad at what you do. It's like, we're right, we just didn't know this. Then you're not as good as you thought you were. If you created this amazing product that ended up being falling short of what you originally said it was going to be because this variant caught you by surprise, to me, it's equivalent of like saying I'm going to score a bunch of goals and then I'm just shocked that there's like other players on the field to stop me. It's like, isn't that part of virology? Isn't that part of the science? Like, hey, let's anticipate that this might happen. Oh, we're just dumbfounded. It's because they don't want to admit that they were wrong or that their data was incomplete or that the best data they had at the time wasn't as good as they thought it was. It's so simple. It's like people have literally been gaslighted into not even thinking about seasonal trends. And we're going to move on, but I'm not saying COVID's the flu. I'm not saying Omicron's Delta. I'm not qualified to tell you what's going on. I could tell a lot of people are getting sick more this winter, it seems like, than last winter. I could see it with my own eyes as well as the data. But here's what I'm saying. When it came to the flu, it wasn't the same every year. Some years it was this, some years it was this, some years you had a lot of casualties, some years you didn't have as much. So if COVID ends up being here to stay, hopefully not. Hopefully, everybody gets healthy and happy and we never have to hear about a PCR test again. But if this trend of mass PCR testing and mass positive results continuously keeps happening, I'm going to be the one to tell you, apparently years ahead of the experts, that you're going to probably see, if not definitely see, a spike every winter because we've known for 100 years with respiratory illnesses and things like common colds and flus, and now the COVID that's slightly different, apparently. We're not going to take seasons into consideration. Like, we couldn't see that coming. It's unbelievable. And I had something to say, but apparently it wasn't that important because I already forgot it. So let's move on to the next story before I say something that YouTube doesn't like, because we know they like to lie and pretend like I said something I didn't in order to try to put a strike on my channel so I can't live stream. And, I brought this out. By the way, I love tennis. I play tennis. I'm better than you would think I am. I know I don't look like a tennis player, but, I put on some short shorts and a nice little like Lacoste shirt. I don't even own a Lacoste shirt, but I just feel like I could see a tennis player wearing a Lacoste like alligator shirt, just ready for the serve. But I'm actually pretty good at tennis and I enjoy all sports. I'm like believe it or not, I'm a sports fanatic. I love playing sports. I like watching too. Novak Djokovic for a long time has been like, yo, I don't want to get the vaccine. I'm not doing it. I don't care. Like, he's very set in his ways that he doesn't want to get the vaccine. So there's, interestingly enough, a tournament in Australia called the Australia Open. It's a pretty big one. And he was going to not be able to play. Then a couple of days ago, he said that he got an exemption. So he's like, oh, I'm going to play now. I got an exemption. And he flew to Australia. Obviously, I don't have a behind the scenes take. I don't know if he had a real exemption and he got it from Australia or he got it from, the tennis organization and the government didn't like it. But somewhere in this story, the government of Australia was not on the same page as Djokovic, so he flew over to Australia to play tennis. I'm just very high tech with my equipment. I got a tennis racket to show you what it is. But he flew over there, and apparently he got detained and sent back and deported. And I don't know if he's still there or not, but I'm going to read this article. It's a CNN article. Not that I really like them, but they could use the traffic. So I'll give them a traffic. The only time they get traffic is when they talk about January 6th and like Trump. So they could use a little help. Novak Djokovic being treated like a prisoner by Australian authorities, according to his mother. World number one tennis player Djokovic is thought to have been transferred to the Park Hotel in Melbourne after his visa to enter the country blocked ahead of the U.S. Open, according to CNN affiliates 7 Network and 9 News. The hotel, previously used by the Australian government as a COVID-19 quarantine facility, is now being used as an alternative place of detention, APOD, for refugees and asylum seekers. His mother says that she has spoken briefly with her son on Thursday, adding that he told her that he couldn't sleep. I feel terrible since yesterday, the last 24 hours that they are keeping him as a prisoner. It's just not fair. It's just not human, said Jajana, this queen. No, I'm just kidding. But she called the current administration terrible, describing it as just some small immigration hotel. It's so dirty and the food is terrible, she added. The authorities don't want to give him any chance to move on to some better hotel or house that he already rented. So they're keeping him at some little crappy hotel. And this is like the logic. People are like, okay, we have this extremely healthy athlete here that's like in better shape than 99.9% of the world. And he's like number one at a sport. So, he's very talented and very athletic and very physically fit. Hey, let's throw him in a dirty hotel because that's really going to fight COVID. Let's keep people inside. Let's keep them indoors. That's a good idea. That's a way to really stay healthy. Shove them in like a dusty, dirty place and serve them crappy food and let them watch like television commercials with high fructose corn syrup. Oh yeah, that'll really work well. And they're doing this in the name of, stopping illnesses and preventing sickness. It's just disgraceful. But I have to make it funny. I'm going to print something out. I should have done this before, but I was like, I'm not going to do it, but it's too funny not to. So I'm going to just print this real quick while I'm on live because I have a pretty funny thing I posted earlier on other social media. So if you hear a noise, it's just my printer and then I'll get it. But it's crazy. I mean, they're treating people like animals, prisoners, slaves, serfs, peasants, whatever you want to say, over this idea that treating people this way is going to eliminate the virus or help people be safe. And it's just, how could people not realize what's going on at this point? All right, I got to get my thing. So I'm not trying to be mean here. I got it printed out with my high technology stuff. I'm not trying to be mean. Keep in mind that here on Anomalies platform, we love everybody. We don't care how tall you are. We don't care if you're Yao Ming. We don't care if you're Kevin Hart or Muggsy Bogues. We don't care if you're fat. We don't care if you're Lizzo. We don't care if you're Thizzo. You're thin. We don't care if you're Miley Cyrus. We love everybody here. But it's this weird thing where people that are shaped like this, Grimace from McDonald's, people that are shaped like this get on television and they're like, I'm so upset with the health choices of Djokovic. I'm so upset with the health choices of Kyrie Irving. I am disgusted by the health choices of Aaron Rodgers. And it's like, what? Like, I don't care who you are and I don't care what you do. But if you're shaped like Grimace and you're trying to tell some of the healthiest males on the planet what they should do with their health decisions, maybe it's time for a little self-awareness and self-accountability, which we preach here. And just to show you I really mean it, it's not just for you. I don't just yell at people and make fun of them. We try to promote good health and good exercise and diet and fitness. I'm not perfect. I'm not saying I am, but we're trying to make America fit again. We're not trying to have, a bunch of grimaces scream at us and be like, the only way to be healthy is to put on 2 masks and get your, Fauci ouchie or your mRNA Trumpy pumpy every couple months. Moderna's CEO, breaking news, says people may need a 4th COVID shot as efficacy of boosters likely to decline over time. I'm sure they're going to need boosters forever. And I'm sure you authoritarians are going to try to enforce it. So it's just like, how long do I have to listen to like Grimace yell at me over my health choices. Like, I can't believe Aaron Rodgers is the MVP again. I mean, if only he could be healthy like me. And it's like, who told you that? What news sources are you listening to? I had two very nasty women, as Trump would say, very nasty women. I'm just kidding. But yesterday I had these women like yelling at me like on my live stream, and I'm like, who do you watch? I'm not even mad. I'm just curious. Like, what do you want to watch? If you want to watch something else, go watch it. I'm not like mad. It's kind of funny to me, but I'm like, I'm just also curious. I'm like, who do people like this watch where they're like, can you believe Joe Rogan works out and goes in saunas and like, is in better shape than ever? Like, it's like, what? Like who I'm just curious, like who do you watch that tells you to think that way? I'm just like wondering because injection or no injection, there's like 50 things about being healthy that nobody's talking about. And it's just really creepy. And it's extra creepy because I know from firsthand experience when I was the most sick in my life, and it was when I didn't get outside. So you got the Filipino president, arresting people for going outside, and going outside is like healthy. You have Australian authorities who look like Grimace, enforcing health policies on one of the literally the best tennis player in the world right now, who's in physically fit, better shape than everybody in Australia, parliament or whatever they call their government. And like the average normie is just like, this is normal. Arresting people for not getting their mRNA Trumpy pumpy or their Fauci ouchie. It's like, what? I just like calling it the mRNA Trumpy pumpy. It's pretty funny. People are going to be like so mad at that, but I think it's really funny. Like people are like, he saved the. I'm like, whether you like it or not, it's funny to call it the mRNA Trumpy pumpy. Like if you like the Trumpy pumpy, that's fine. Just call it the Trumpy pumpy. If you don't like the Trumpy pumpy, listen, that's on you. But just call it the mRNA Trumpy pumpy and the Fauci ouchie. This way, I'm trying to. It's January 6th. There's a lot of tension in the world. You got one part of the country who thinks like it was a nothing burger. The other country thinks it was like Vietnam, Pearl Harbor, 9/11 put together. And I'm just here in the middle trying to unite the country. I'm like, listen, you like your Fauci ouchie. You like your Trumpy pumpy. Maybe you don't like the Fauci ouchie. Maybe you don't like the Trumpy pumpy, but we can all, hang out and listen to like, I don't know, like Ace of Base or something that could really unite us. I Saw the Sign or one of their other multiple bangers, and maybe we could get along for a day. Or maybe we can't. And maybe we just need to be honest about it and just figure out where we want to go. I feel like I have a solution for the country, but obviously no one's going to listen to me, so it doesn't matter. But it's like we're not the same. It's not a big deal. Like I think the original American idea, and maybe I'm wrong because maybe Ben Franklin was a wild boy doing some other stuff I didn't read about in the history books, but I think the original idea was like states' rights, local rights, getting away from kings and queens and trying to find out this idea of like, yeah, we're not all going to agree. We're not all going to want to do the same thing. And that's okay. Like, I'm over caring about this pandemic, not in the sense of I'm reckless. I'm healthy. I'm happy. I'm considerate. But I don't live in this world that other people live in. And it doesn't even bother me anymore because I don't live in Canada or Australia, but also I'm done acting like a psycho. I don't know that I ever did, but if people want to live that way, I get it. I support people doing what they want to do in that sense, just not to me. If you want to live in New York City or Los Angeles, at these major cities that are going more towards the Australia side of not full lockdown, but restrictions, mask mandates, vaccine passports, all this stuff, I think we should try the old American experiment and say, listen, I'm not mad at, I'm not going to sit on Twitter. I'm watching everybody on Twitter today, and it's like high school for adults. The left is talking about January 6th, the right's defending themselves. This is politics. The left wing creates the narrative, and the right wing defends themselves from the narrative they created. And I'm just sitting here like, I don't want to talk about what you guys talk about all the time. I don't want to fight with people. I don't like these people. I don't want to fight with people I don't like. I'm over it. Why don't we just be honest? We don't see things the same. It's okay. You do that there, and we'll do this here. If you live in a conservative county in California, like I do, people don't listen to what LA is doing. And it's amazing. quality of life is better, it's cleaner, it's safer, it's nicer, everything about it's better. And if you don't think so, move to Los Angeles. If you want to live in Florida and be free, that's fine. But also, you have a lot of liberal communities in Florida that don't want to be free. Let's just stop pretending like we're the same, and if you want to live in this crazy liberal part of Florida and do all this masking all the time and freaking out and treating people like crazy, do it in your community. And let's be honest about it and be like, let's let you do this, let's do this, but let's draw the line and be like, I have no interest in going to Los Angeles anymore, I have no interest in going to New York City anymore, I don't care what they do, I don't want to be there. Can we figure it out? And then we can like ideologically separate, like if you believe in like cleaning up your neighborhood and you back the blue when they're not tyrannical, and you're not you don't want to burn your own neighborhood down and trash everything, and it's like, then you live here, and then people who want to do it their way live over there. I don't understand why we can't do that. I mean, I do get it, but I feel like maybe this will roll the ball and people can figure it out, because it's working for me so far as like just ignoring these people. In some countries they can't, but that's what made America great and still makes it great, is we have options. And even with all the federal overreach going on, you still see how our country, no offense, in some ways, not always, but in some ways with freedom, is still better than Canada and Australia. Our food is garbage here, and that's really bad. But freedom wise, you have New York now trying to be more like Ron DeSantis. Oh, Ron DeSantis is crazy, but we're going to copy exactly what he did 7 months ago. Oh, he's a lunatic, but let's keep the schools open and let's not lock down. Didn't you just take Ron DeSantis's speech from like 7 months ago? And now that there's 1 million cases and people are actually getting sick, now all of a sudden you agree with Ron DeSantis? Like that, but they're only doing that in America and in the Democratic areas for two reasons. One, they're in power and they need to win this next election. And two, we've allowed ourselves the experiment of 50 states, we don't have this like one set rule like Australia. It's not completely like that, but it's a lot worse in other countries. In America, we have so much division in a good way, like not division, oh my God, we're all fighting, but division in like Texas is not California, is not Dallas, is not Fort Worth. It's not, everybody kind of has their own vibe, and it's awesome. It's actually great. And this might be controversial to some, but I don't really care. This idea that we have to all be the same, I believe, roots from authoritarianism and communism, essentially, in the sense of like left wingers will be like, we all have to be the same, but you're a racist. And right wingers are like, we're all exactly the same, I see no difference in culture. And I'm like, I do see a difference, but I don't hate people because of it. If everybody sings the same song and eats the same food, life would suck. You want to have your pockets where people do different stuff, different culture, different food, different music. That's what makes the world go round. We don't need to all be a big blob, run by the United Nations and Joe Biden and Justin Trudeau. That's not fun. It's okay to be different. It's okay to have your own culture. It's okay to love your ancestors and know what they did and want to keep that tradition alive. It's the left wing, right wing, commies on the left wing and globalists, whatever you want to call them, right wing sneaks that are like, oh yeah, I'm just like you, but I'll sell you out anyway. It's like they're trying to push this idea that we're all exactly the same, and that's the way. It's like it's like, no, it's good. It's good to have some sort of differences. It really is. Like, I don't like what you like. You might like anime and you might want to play Pokemon all day. One of my friends, he likes to do stuff like that. I don't hate on it. It's we're different people. We like different sports. We like to watch different television shows. That's what makes the world great. We don't all, it's like having one channel and we're all supposed to watch it. That's like a sneaky deception that they're trying to trick us into, to be like, no, let's do our own thing and build our own communities, like among people who agree with us. And if maskies want to live somewhere and wear masks for the rest of their life, they could be miserable. I don't care. Just leave me alone. That's my energy in all of this year. Leave me alone. And if you're in my community trying to treat me like an animal and a slave, I'm going to tell you, I'm not a slave. I'm not an animal. You are. I mean, you're acting like it. You're not literally, but you're acting like one. And you're going to be stuck that way forever because you're an idiot. So it's like, don't come into my world and my reality acting like a psycho. That's the energy for this year. Thanks y'all for being here. If anybody wants to challenge me in tennis, I don't know if I'll play you, but I'd obviously beat you. So just trying to talk some trash. Maybe I'll talk myself into a tennis game here. I like to play sports and compete, but I'll answer some questions for a little while. I probably got like 30 minutes. Thank you guys so much. And real quick, this news show is unofficially sponsored by my own business. It's dreamrare.com or godblesshats.com. I got these hats, these hoodies. Ask people in the comments who bought the hoodie. Is it comfortable? Yes. Is it made in the USA? Yes. Are my long sleeves made in the USA? Yes. You'd be surprised. A lot of Patriots, and I'm not knocking because listen, everybody's got to get do their hustle. It's not my, I'm not hating, but it's like a lot of people selling American stuff is not made in the USA, which I understand, but it's like, it's kind of like, oh, I got an American flag hat made in China. It's like, what? So I really, it's hard. It's expensive. It's better quality in my opinion, but it's more costly and harder to come by. But I get all my stuff made in the US, stitched in the US, and I'm trying to do everything in the United States. So check out that dreamrare.com or godblesshats.com. I also have Telegram, free email list. You already know, but that keeps the cycle going. Someone said, I know a guy from Australia that'll play you soon. He's free. You talking about Djokovic? Yeah, he would destroy me. They're so good. The pro tennis players, I've never seen a live game. I would love to go live, but I just imagine they're hitting it so fast. Like the serves are just flying. Like I could probably return a few, but I would get beat pretty hard. I would probably lose almost literally every point. Maybe I would win one, but probably not. That's how good they are. I'm not good enough to play Djokovic. I know my lane. Tennis is not a top 2 sport of mine. I'm better at soccer. I'm really good at soccer. That's my best sport. My second best sport, I would say basketball. Tennis, I'm a naturally athletic person, so I'm good, but I'm not, I would get literally just 0 points against anybody good. MP said, I messaged you on Instagram, just got back from Mexico. National mask mandate, sanitizing stations with temperature checks all at the entrances, and now denying nationalized healthcare to the non-jab provided pick. That's crazy. Thanks for the super chat, but not surprising, but definitely not ideal. I'm going to read stars real quick on Facebook. I finally realized that I've been ignoring you guys too much, even though you're the biggest audience that I have. Sorry about that. Linda, thank you. Natalie said, thanks for being you. Thank you, Natalie. Ryan said, celebrate diversity unless it's diversity of thought or opinion. Well, yeah, the diversity thing's a lie. They're like, we're celebrating diversity, just not your culture, not your race. We hate you. And if you think differently of a different ethnicity, we're going to hate you more than we hate white people. It's like, that's not diversity. They're like, we love black people who agree with us. We love Hispanics who agree with us. We love white people who agree with us. We get it. You just want people to agree with you. Just be honest about it. I could say the same thing. It's like, yeah, I like people who agree with me. If you're from, Zimbabwe and you're like, Anomaly, I love your channel, and you're like a white person from America, like, F you, Anomaly, I hate you, I'm gonna like the Zimbabwe guy better. Let's be honest. It's not like, yeah, I love my country, but I'd much rather some black dude from Africa being like, dude, Anomaly, I love your stuff, than some like, Anomaly, you get. It's like, I don't, so at least I'm honest about it. Like, yeah, I like people who agree with me too, but left wingers, they like people who agree with them, but they always pretend like they like your ethnicity. No, you like ethnic groups that agree with you, or people in that group that agree with you, which it would be fine if you just didn't lie about it all the time. Like, we like black people, except for black people that disagree with us, and then we're going to treat you like dirt. You think I get treated bad? I'm not trying to pander, but I'm just being honest. If you're like a woman or a minority or whatever, and you're conservative and you're standing up for the truth, like, they're way nastier to those people. It's almost like they feel like they have ownership over you, like the women's movement and the black movement. If you stray from their norm and start pushing back against that, they're way nastier to them than they are to me. It's like they feel like that you have to believe them when you're a certain race. It's really weird. Luckily, I've been ignoring them for a while. Shane said, keep up the good fight. Thank you, Shane. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Deanna. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, Joanne. Thank you, Margaret. Thank you, John. Thank you, Ryan, again. Laura, someone said, it can't be in the name of health if absolutely nothing about it's healthy. I agree, Anita said. Sarah said, I appreciate you supporting awareness as well as self-care. Thank you. It's probably my most important message. Like, take care of yourself. That's, the root of everything. At the end of the day, you can't save everyone, but you can save yourself. Jason, thank you. Paul, thank you. Angela with the heart, thank you. Lori, thank you. Linda says, Ashley Babbitt, say her name. Well, I just said I read your thing. Jody, rest in peace. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean, because obviously, like, I don't believe she should have got shot. I think that that day has been lied about. I'm not trying to get dragged into this vortex of left wing, right wing discussion about it. But, part of me thinks at the same time, it's like, why are you climbing through a broken window? I'm not saying it deserved to happen because I think the police was trigger happy, but it's like, I don't know. This is where self awareness comes in. A lot of people are getting persecuted and arrested for doing exactly what liberals did, and a lot of people are just doing stupid stuff. It's like, why would you climb through a broken window? You don't deserve to get shot, obviously, but you also should be a little bit more self aware and not do that. So I think it's similar to how I view a lot of things where you want to teach people one that police should have restraint, but on the other hand it's like also you should have restraint, like you should be a little smarter in the future and not do that, in my opinion. But maybe that's not what people want to hear, but that's my thought on that one, where it's like, it's sad, it sucks, but like, why are you climbing through a window? That's a terrible idea. But I don't know, people can hate for me for that. That's just my personal thought. Someone said we finally witnessed it. Anomaly's first bad take ever. God bless Ashley Babbitt. You could think it's a bad take. That's just what I think. I'm not saying that the police was in the right. I'm not saying that that deserved to happen, but I think that you should teach your kids and adults not to climb through broken windows at a heated, protest turned into something that was clearly just like sloppy and started getting ugly. I mean, if you want to act like she did nothing wrong and she should have not climbed, she should have climbed through a broken window. I mean, that's on you. You could lie to yourself, but that's not what I think. But I mean, I could lie for people and say, "Oh man, that was really smart. Like you should do that." But I don't think that. So I don't know. I wish I could lie because I know it'd be more popular. And the whole day too. I mean, now that we're on the topic, because it is that day, I think there's two things going on here in my personal perspective. I would not be afraid to say anything, but here's what I really think. I really think this. On one hand, before it happened, I didn't go for many reasons, but the main one was I didn't feel good about it. Trump was selling Moderna vaccines. I was like, I don't want to go to some vaccine rally event when for a year I'm trying to tell people maybe we should protest against medical tyranny. Maybe we should protest against medical tyranny. No, Anomaly. No, we got to win the election. No, Anomaly. We got to go to January. No, we got to go to the Capitol. I'm like, I'm not going to the vaccine salesman, event where he's going to tell you, like, I didn't feel connected to it. Thank God. So on one hand, I already thought beforehand it's not my scene. And then it got ugly, and there's two sides of the coin. On one side, the left wing is dramatizing it, acting like it was 1,000 times worse than it was, and they're using it for political gain. And in my opinion, this is kind of why the right wing always loses. This is just my thought. It's like, what did January 6th really accomplish when it's all said and done? A lot of people might felt good about it. A lot of people probably felt bad about it. You have Ted Cruz, sounding like CNN. You have other people saying other stuff. But if you look at the ratings, CNN got record ratings. Like they broke their record, I believe, on the January 6th coverage for January, and that day they had a great month. I think I just read earlier their best month ever. So you have the news stations that you hate the most getting more money, more traction, and more attention. Then you have the Biden administration used that event to then treat everybody like a terrorist organization and try to branch out and shut down the medical tyranny movement. And I'm annoyed about it because I thought people shouldn't have even been there that day. Why? Because I don't think Trump really deserved that much attention and protesting when he helped usher in the biomedical security state. So I would have much rather a huge event in Washington of people who were ready to stand up against March 2020 until January 2021. Because to me, that was the big travesty that then threw off the election. If you want to talk about the election, talk about those 7 months that ruined the election. You couldn't have done all that without mass mail-in ballots, lockdowns, the shifting of society and the mindset of the country to feeling like it's all going. He helped usher half that stuff in, so I didn't even feel like he deserved it, even though I voted for him and I still wanted him to win until January, but I'm not going to that. And then, so it's like, I mean, I see it both ways, but I think that, it was a huge lob to the left wing. It's perfect for them. It's great for fundraising. It's great for media attention. And that's why I'm not talking about it today, because I don't want to live in their world. And I'm hopefully, without offending certain people, trying to show you I don't live in the reality of the left wing. I don't live in the reality of the right wing. I don't feel the need to talk about what they talk about or do what they do or show up at events that people try to pressure me to show up to, or everybody says you got to go to be a patriot. I smartly didn't go that day. I don't really want to talk about it that much today. And I want to hopefully show people that the reason that the right wing loses is because the left wing creates the narrative and then the right wing defends themselves against the narrative. And if you log into Twitter, that's all it is today. The left wing acting like it was the worst thing ever, the right wing defending themselves, the left wing saying this, the right wing saying that. This is the world that they create. They create their own reality. They create this narrative, and the right wing will spend the next 10 years of their life defending themselves from that narrative that's been mutually created. Meanwhile, that specific narrative only helps the left wing politically, financially, and also authoritarian police state wise, because they're able to use that narrative to further justify the persecution of many innocent people on the right and on the medical tyranny movement. So that's just my personal thoughts. I guess I wish I could tell you that I felt exactly the same as anyone else, but that's just, I appreciate other people's takes that disagree with me. And this is a topic that a lot of people feel different ways about, and I'm okay with that. But that's truly how I feel, and I don't, I'm not interested in the banter today. I find it stale on both sides. I get it. I get why people think it. I think there's a place for analysis, so I'm not mad at it. I just it's stale to me. Someone said you got to get politically involved. Sure, but you also have to get physically involved, mentally involved. You got to get involved with your own life. If you do your thing, things will open up. That's what I believe. But what's my US Tennis Association ranking? Very low. I'm definitely not nationally ranked. I'm not that good, but I'm better than people would think, but I'm not like a pro. I would be honest. Someone said fair point you're making. I think so, but some people won't. That's okay. Someone said, I support cops, yet cops overall, while most are aware of this, yet some are not, need to be trained better to not shoot unarmed people when they're really not threatening their lives. Well, yeah, I agree. I mean, in this sense, for sure. Here's the point of the police thing. I'm glad you brought that up, because I do want to talk about the police. I'm not somebody that has backed the blue my whole life. I come from like a hip hop, mindset when I was younger. And you know how hip hop is, F the police, F the police. So I'm not one of these like lifelong conservatives that's like, oh, I've always loved the police. Like, to be honest, I didn't like the police. In high school, I felt like the police bothered me a lot because I lived in a small town and they were just like always up everybody's ass all the time. I didn't like it. I got pulled over for things that I didn't even do, like license stuff. And I had a bad experience personally growing up with police. I had multiple bad experiences and I didn't like them. Now that I'm older, I also realized I was kind of a degenerate when I was a teenager. And now that I'm not an idiot, like the police don't bother me at this moment. So I don't have this like hate for police like I used to. In some ways, I think a lot of it was my fault when I was younger. Not all of it, but some of it. On one hand, police are being demonized by liberals unfairly. On another hand, a lot of police just do what they're told. They have a lot of power, and it's like a politician or a business owner. When you have a lot of power, you're kind of like above the law. So a lot of police officers, there's a lot of great people that work hard and do stuff I can never do. And there's a lot of people that are, power hungry and use their position to just like get away with stuff that other people can't get away with. I see it from both sides. But I guess when it comes to police officers showing restraint, it's easy for me to say that. I could just sit here and say, for this situation or this situation, you should have shown restraint. In many situations, it's true, but I've also watched a lot of Twitter, videos of police getting their head blown off. It's like if you hesitate for a second in the wrong situation, you're dead. So January 6th, I feel like that police for sure should have showed restraint, and she did not look dangerous. But at the same point, to be fair, she should have had the self-awareness to not climb through a broken window in a heated moment, because that's stupid. To me, I'm assuming I know the police have a gun. I know I'm unarmed. So it's like when a Palestinian throws something at an Israeli military person. I'm not saying the Israeli military is in the right, but if you got a rock and they got a gun, maybe you shouldn't throw a rock at a person with a gun for your own survival. And then you could go back to Palestine and organize and figure out what you want to do and then do it. But this idea that like not knowing how the world works, it doesn't make sense to me. So I guess like with certain things, it's easy to sit here and be like, yeah, this person should have shown restraint because in many cases it's true. But also, there's a lot of police that get killed and injured and hurt because they show too much restraint. And there's a lot of situations where, I think in that one case where the police shot the guy a bunch of times, it's unfortunate, it's horrible, but also, it's a two-sided street where it's like if you show self-awareness and self-accountability, that wouldn't have happened. And, the George Floyd situation, as the ending result is what we all saw was the knee on the neck. And most people thought that that was wrong. Then you go back and you see that he's all messed up and he won't lay on the floor. This might be unpopular to say, and people might not want to hear this. And it doesn't mean that what happened was right, because obviously when somebody dies, it's not what people want. That's not a good situation. But the truth is, if he would have had the self-awareness to not be so screwed up that when they came that he couldn't just sit in the car, he had to lay on the ground because he's so messed up, he would be alive. You could get mad at that, but that's just the truth. So it's like, everything's not black and white all the time, where clearly the court made its decision and they found that police officer guilty. But it's the same with the Ashley situation, in my opinion. I'm not saying that should have happened. However, a little self awareness and a little self accountability goes a long way. It really just does. So it's like people can, and that's half the problem with this world. I feel like people are always just playing the victim on all sides. It's like, well, there's nothing it's like, dude, have a little bit of like common sense. Like I go to a protest, I guarantee you, if I was at January 6th, which I wasn't, but if I was, I wouldn't have gone in the building. I wouldn't have climbed through a window. I would have saw the trap 50 yards ahead. I saw the trap before the trap even happened. That's why I didn't even go, for 50 different reasons. But in general, it's like people are like, I'm just going to do what I want to do and I'm not going to think about it. Okay. But the world's not fair. So you should, I think you should think about certain things. Someone said the video's getting interrupted. I don't know what to tell you. I think I got a phone call, but I think that police should show more restraint, but at the same time, some police are showing too much restraint. I think because of all this racial tension in bad areas, police don't even want to police it. You have areas that are super, super violent and super dangerous, and the good people in those areas like seeing the police because it's not safe to go out at night or sometimes during the day. And you have a lot of police who are just like, yo, I'm not even going to go to that area because they're going to try to frame me as a racist. So it's going to be a bloodbath because we're not going in there. There's no benefit to going in there. The police unions don't even have our back half the time. The police chief doesn't have our back, or the politicians don't have the back. So overall, it's like, on some hand, police should show less restraint. On other hands, they should show more restraint. It goes, to me, it goes both ways, where it's like there's probably millions of police that would disagree with you and be like, dude, we show so much restraint and, hundreds of people die because we're not even able to do our job. So, at this age, I'm like, I'm smart enough. Yes, sir. No, sir. I'm not climbing through windows. I'm not messed up in the back seat, saying I want to lay on the floor. Like I haven't been that messed up since I was like, 23, where it's like at a certain point, whether you drink or do pills or stuff, I don't think it's a great idea. But if you're not in a mind state to handle yourself and be able to, finesse a situation, then like maybe you need to reflect and figure out how to get in a better mindset, because you're a grown person that can't act right, on both sides of politics, or on both in every ethnic group. So I hear you, but it's a two-way street. I don't know. Sometimes the police do something really messed up. Other times people are exaggerating and just don't want to act right. So it goes both ways. At this point in my life, I'm glad that I live in an area that has police that don't let our community end up like Los Angeles, but everywhere's different. Sorry about that. Someone called me. Someone said, "Yet while I support cops, I also support restraint." I agree. I'm just saying there's many areas where cops can use too much restraint, and there's other areas where they're not using enough restraint. But I think, it's easy to judge and say it on Twitter, but it's like, and I'm not even saying this to be mean, but like say like Colin Kaepernick, he's always bashing the police. There was a point in my life where I would have been like, that's dope. Colin Kaepernick's a hero. But now that I'm older and smarter, I'm like, I'm not mad per se at what he's saying, but I would love to see Colin Kaepernick be a police officer, because if he were a police officer in his athletic form, he would really see what it's like. And being a police officer is not like putting on a Black Lives Matter hat and getting money from Nike. It's like being in bad neighborhoods where there's people who look like Colin Kaepernick who are doing some serious stuff that he's going to have to make really tough decisions. Like, do I want to show restraint? Do I think this person's going to kill me? What do you do if you pull somebody over if they're not listening and they reach for their hand? In one case, they might just be somebody who's not listening and they're idiots and nothing's going on. On another hand, they could reach for a gun and blow your head off in a second, and that's happened dozens of times. So it's easy for me or you or Colin Kaepernick or whoever to say they should show more restraint, they should show less restraint. Yeah, I agree. But to really go out there on the field, and especially in really high crime areas, to police people and see all these people who don't listen and do crazy stuff, and you start to see the families that you're helping, because it's not like you're going to persecute people of a certain race, but in any neighborhood you have people who are not committing these violent crimes and people who are on a daily basis, and you have to make a very tough decision quite often. I mean, I just think it's tough, but I get why people feel that way. But I would love to see people's perspective of, like, it would be like me if I was saying to, like, somebody who's out in football, like with an injury, you should play, you're not that hurt. It's like, if I played 10 years in the NFL, you might realize how much it hurts or how hard it is. So I get it. I definitely get how people feel, but it's not an easy job. But then there's police in different countries that are enforcing mandates and arresting people over masks, and they're just tools of the state, So I see that as well. But someone said every day as an officer could be the last day, for sure, for sure. Someone said when the police force vaccinate anomaly, he will get it. Well, no, I'm agreeing with you. It's like a lot of police officers just do what they're told, and sometimes what they're told is wrong. So I hear you. I don't have like a heavy set stance on this where you're gonna bother me with your thoughts and opinions. It's just like, I hear you. And maybe that's why on the topic real quick of Djokovic, it's great when you have, great people or people at a position doing the right thing. I think that's more important than your position. If you're a police officer, it doesn't make you a good person. Are you a good person? Are you a noble person? Are you a righteous person? Same with a tennis player. Yeah, you're great at tennis, but are you willing to take a stand for humanity when it matters? I think, police officers are no different. They shouldn't just be blindly praised. At the same time, tough times will show which officers are the real deal and willing to, go against the grain, and which ones aren't. And, I guess when it comes to that, here's another thing though. I could just sit here and say, well, police officers are the only ones doing that, but every corporation, every political party, I mean, the Democrats are worse, but you get it. Every area of life, you have people just following what they're told. So it's not like specifically a cop problem. It's a human nature problem where apparently a lot of people are comfortable just going along with the grain, even if they feel like it's wrong, just to save their spot in society, save their salary, and save what's comfortable for them. So I think that's a human problem that is a problem in police as well. Is a lot of people, nurses, doctors, police officers, sports athletes, journalists, they're willing to just do the wrong thing for temporary gain and temporary ease. So that's happening all over. Someone said, "Why do I eat animals and defend freedom at the same time?" Are you an animal activist or something? I don't. I'm It's a complex issue, my man. But I'll say this, Mike. This is the best thing I got for you. In the wild, right? If you go to safari in Africa, I don't know if safari is the right word, but you go to Africa, or you go in the woods, or you go anywhere that there's a lot of animals. You go in the ocean. Are they at peace, Mike? This is my question for you. I'm not mad. Are animals at peace? Do sharks not eat other animals? Do lions not eat other animals? Do ants not eat other things? Every animal eats other animals. So if you want to be a true animal activist, you can't just yell at humans on YouTube. You have to go out there in the wild and stop every animal from eating each other. So I'm not even saying I'm mad at you for your activism, but a lot of these animal activists are really just anti-human. They're like, how could you eat another animal? You're like, are you talking to me, or are you talking to sharks? Are you talking to bears? Are you talking to birds? Because every animal eats other animals. So if I agreed with you, I would say you got some tough work ahead of you. You not only got to stop humans from eating other animals, you need to stop every animal from eating other animals. You got people at PETA who say it's terrible to eat animals, and then they'll go to an animal shelter where they feed lions other animals to eat to keep them alive, and then they do a press conference for PETA. Doesn't make sense. I find that very anti-human and hypocritical. I'm not necessarily saying you're wrong, but I don't see any animal activist trying to stop other animals from eating other animals. And for that, I would just assume you're anti-human. It's similar to how I think a lot of climate activists are anti-America, not because I'm prideful, but because there's other countries that are polluting more in many ways, and they very rarely talk about them. So it's like, are you really concerned with carbon output? Are you really concerned with pollution? Or do you just hate America? Because the statistics are not adding up to the amount of outrage you have over our country. So, PETA activists are very similar to climate change activists. It's like you got too much hate for humanity in this country, and not enough scrutiny of the whole animal kingdom and other countries. Camilla, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Happy New Year. Thank you. Mike said, I'm very concerned, actually. LOL. I bet you never thought of that, though. Maybe you did, but I bet you never thought about how animals are always eating other animals. It's a travesty. I'm with you, Mike. It's terrible. There's poor, gazelles out there just getting swallowed whole by lions. And I think, Mike, you have to get out there and stop those lions from eating gazelles, but I guarantee you that they're not going to listen to you as much as hipsters in liberal cities, and they're not going to be as thoughtful as I am. I'm pretty thoughtful. These lions are not going to give a crap what you say. They're not going to eat your soy-based burgers, and if you tease them too much, they might even bite you to get you out of the way so they could eat an antelope or some other safari character. It's something to think about, though. Not a lot of people think like that. I'm actually an ant activist. I think ants are mistreated. Everybody cares about dogs and cows and pet, but nobody cares about ants. Why? Is it because they're tiny? That would be like having a girlfriend that's 4'11" and being like, she doesn't matter as much as this 6'3" girl. It's like, really? I think she matters. So, it's like ants. Everybody, when does PETA talk about saving the ants? Let's save the ants. Stop stepping on them. Stop clearing them out of your house. Just let them roam free and eat all your stuff. Why not? I love ants. They're cute. You put them on your finger, they run around, and you could just put them on a leaf and just assume they're going to find where they need to go. Ant lives matter. I totally agree. I felt this way for years. I feel like I used to tweet about this, no joke, like in 2011 and stuff. I'm way ahead of the curve on ant activism. Someone said animals are rather tasty. I agree. And 10 out of 10 animals would 9 out of 10 animals would probably agree with you too. They just eat other things. Someone said, I love insects. Like to eat them, or you love them to hang out with them? No, it's Mike. Yeah, Mike loves them. You would never eat them, Mike. That's my guy. All right. Appreciate y'all. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. I'll be out. And once again, real quick, always dreamrare.com or godblesshats.com. But more importantly, tomorrow, I don't know if it's more important, but tomorrow I have a new song with Bryson Gray out. It's going to be on everything: Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon. From what I'm told, I just want to let you guys know, from what I'm told, I'm going to talk to Bryson later. it's the iTunes purchases that really, add up to Billboard charts and to hit the top iTunes charts, which I think we could probably do easy. But no manager, no label, me and Bryson, two independent artists. We don't have a deal. We don't work with any major media company. I would love to hit the Billboard charts. And that's like the Hot 100. That's every song in the world. It's huge. I think we could do it. I think it's a good song. I think people are going to like it. So check it out. It's called Controlled by Bryson Gray and Anomaly. I'll send you the link in the morning tomorrow, and I'll probably shoot an email blast. I never use my email, and do it on Telegram. And let's see what we can do. I think we can hit #1 on iTunes, but it would be really amazing to chart on the Billboard charts with two independent, conservative leaning artists talking about something real and something honest. And, I think you guys will like the lyrics too. So I'm super pumped about it. It's a banger.